Hi, my name is Brian Miller, and I am the Inspector General at the General Services Administration in Washington, D.C. My office conducts audits and investigations of federal programs. One of the more unusual things we do is to recover lost and stolen art owned by the United States. This film shows how we do that. We bring recovered artwork to be conserved at a facility like this, and then put them back on public display for all to enjoy. The purpose of this film is to get the word out about lost artwork produced as part of the New Deal art programs. Please consider this film as a kind of wanted poster for lost federal art. We hope that you will contact us and help us return America's art to America.
This is the office of Senator Royal Copeland of New York. The year is 1935.
Certainly, Senator. I'll take care of your corrections right away.
Thank you, William. That'll be just fine.
That new painting is quite striking.
The painting by John Sloan is called 14th Street at 6th Avenue. It was commissioned in 1934 through the Public Works of Art project, a New Deal-era federal art program. The painting was first exhibited in Washington, D.C., then allocated to the U.S. Senate and housed in Senator Copeland's office. Senator Copeland keeps the Sloan painting for about 3 years. On June 17, 1938, Senator Copeland dies while still in office. After his death, the Sloan painting disappears for more than 60 years. Many such paintings have been lost, misplaced, or stolen since they were created as part of several New Deal-era federal art programs. Through a collaboration of the General Services Administration's Fine Arts Program and its Office of the Inspector General, New Deal works of art are being located, identified, recovered from the private sector, and returned to the federal government for the enjoyment of the American public. In 1933, the unemployment rate was as high as 25% in the country's major industrial centers.
I pledge myself to a New Deal for the American people.
The New Deal was a series of economic programs begun in the 1930s to give relief to the unemployed and to help the nation recover. These efforts included 4 visual arts programs that employed artists to create paintings, murals, and sculpture for display in public venues.
Lots of people were out of work. They started relief programs. And this man, an artist, a mural painter named George Biddle, who'd gone to school with Roosevelt, wrote him and said, "Dear Franklin, why don't we do something for artists as well?" And that launched the whole ball.
The 4 visual art projects were the Public Works of Art Project, the first federal art project, the Section of Fine Arts, which awarded commissions through competitions, the Treasury Relief Art Project, which employed artists to create works for existing federal buildings, and the Works Progress Administration Federal Art Project, the largest of the New Deal art programs. As the official custodian of the works created under these programs, GSA's Fine Arts Program and its Office of Inspector General are partnering with the FBI, museum personnel, and the general public to recover any of these works that have been lost or stolen.
A lot of the work that was produced under the New Deal art programs was essentially work for hire. These were employment programs intended to employ artists just as other people in other professions would be given jobs. The products they produced happened to be paintings and prints and sculptures. And the government, therefore, owns those products of their work.
Sometime in the 1990s, the GSA Fine Arts Department started an initiative to get very serious about identifying, cataloging, and locating the WPA art, both what they had in inventory, what was in the federal buildings and on loan, and also what was determined to be lost or perhaps even stolen.
We work with the FBI, and there's a database of lost and stolen art. We work with many people. We work with state and local governments, with art museums, art curators. We need to hear from people when they think a New Deal era painting is about to be sold, so we can intervene and restore it to a museum or put it on display for all Americans to enjoy.
Many of them are valuable records. They're historical records, they're social and cultural records. But the thing that is absolutely amazing to me is how meaningful so many of them are today.
They are an investment that we made in the 1930s and 40s as the government, as a people, and they belong to the government. They belong to all of us to be appreciated in museums. So they don't really belong to you, even though they may be in your attic for the last 10 years or 20 years or 50 years. They really belong to all of us, and they should be put on display.
It's the history of the country, and told in small voices, told from the perspective of the ordinary American, the ordinary worker. And that's what the New Deal celebrated. It celebrated the common man.
It's August of 2002. A member of the fine arts staff at GSA in Washington receives a phone call.
GSA Fine Arts Program.
The call is from an attorney in Michigan. The staff person learns that the John Sloan painting, 14th Street at 6th Avenue, the New Deal artwork that disappeared from the office of Senator Royal Copeland in 1938, is now in the possession of somebody who lives in Traverse City, Michigan. John Sloan was a leader of the Ashcan School of Realist Artists. He lived and worked in New York City for many years and taught at the Art Students League. He was one of the artists who participated in the Public Works of Art project from 1933 to 1934, during which time he painted 14th Street at 6th Avenue. The fine arts staff person learns that after the Sloan painting disappeared from Senator Copeland's office, its whereabouts remained unknown until a Capitol Hill worker found it during a Senate office move in the early 1980s. He reframed it and gave it to his sister in Michigan, who displayed it in her living room for the next 20 years until she decided to sell it. In October of 2002, the fine arts staff person at GSA gets another call, this time from a special agent from OIG.
GSA Fine Arts Program.
Hey, how you doing? This is Eric with the IG's office.
Yeah, I was just contacted by an art dealer out in Madison, Wisconsin. He's got a painting he believes may be WPA.
Oh, really? What can you tell me about the painting?
It's a painting by a guy named John Sloan. It's called 14th Street at 6th Avenue.
I can email you what I have here.
From this point, numerous parties became involved, including the Department of Justice, and ultimately all was resolved.
Recovery efforts were initiated and was eventually successful. That painting, if there was a monetary value put on it, if it was publicly available for sale, would be approximately $250,000.
The painting currently is on display at the Detroit Institute of Arts. It's on long-term loan, according to the terms of a formal agreement between the government and the Detroit Institute. It's early August of 2001. An auction house in Portland, Maine, is offering for sale a painting by Andrew Winter. The painting is titled Gulls at Manhegan. Andrew Winter was a native of Estonia who came to America in 1921 at the age of 19 and studied at the National Academy of Design. In the 1930s, he and his wife moved to Manhegan Island in Maine, and he was known for his paintings of the island. Andrew Winter painted Gulls at Manhegan in 1936 as part of the Treasury Relief Art Project. It was exhibited at the Corcoran Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. for a brief period. Then it was put on a list of paintings designated for installation in American embassies, legations, or consulates abroad. In Washington, D.C., a museum curator browses the catalog of the auction house in Maine. She sees that Gulls at Manhegan is featured. The painting is described as having a brass plaque inscribed Treasury Department Art Project. It's also identified as being the property of someone in Fields Landing, California. The curator instantly recognizes the painting as a New Deal artwork. The curator contacts GSA.
The woman who had the painting, Gulls at Monhegan, inherited it from a grandfather, a great-grandfather, who was the ambassador to Costa Rica. And it had been hanging in the embassy in Costa Rica. And as best we could figure out, when the ambassador retired, somebody must have given it to him in an unauthorized gift, and then it was handed down through the family. So
okay, all right.
It took the efforts of the GSA's Office of the Inspector General, the Department of Justice, finally a court order to retrieve the painting.
Copy of the original eBay listing. This case actually set the precedence and is a cornerstone upon which we base the rest of our recoveries. It sets the legal precedence for us to initiate recoveries on these.
Well, I was on Monhegan Island about a year ago, which is a beautiful place, and I was talking to the curator there. They have a very nice museum, and she said that she was able to do an exhibit on Andrew Winter, and they brought all the Andrew Winter paintings together for that exhibit, and it included this particular painting. So it was a big deal for me to know that the public was able to see the painting.
The painting is currently in the possession of the State Department. Sometimes New Deal artworks show up on online auctions such as eBay. Such was the case with a small plaster sculpture by Leonard Youngworth. Leonard Youngworth was born in Detroit. He studied at the School of Fine Arts and Wayne State University in Detroit, and also in Germany. He served as a supervisor in the WPA Federal Art Project, during which time he also created several sculptures for the project. The Youngworth sculpture on eBay had a Buy It Now listing of $5,000.
GSA Fine Arts Office.
Yes, this is Crystal with the IG's office. I found something on eBay I think that you might be interested in.
What is it?
I'm pretty sure it's a WPA work for sale, a sculpture by Leonard Youngworth. They're calling it Man with an Accordion. Do you know anything about it?
Leonard Youngworth, sculpture. Let me get back to you.
Sure.
Researchers for the Fine Arts program confirmed that Leonard Youngworth worked for the Federal Art Project, and that official images and documentation of the sculpture in question were in the possession of GSA. There's no question the sculpture is a New Deal artwork. The OIG contacts the possessor in Michigan.
I was going to the antique malls in Detroit, as I usually do every week, and I happened upon this sculpture. I picked up the sculpture, bought it. I think it was no more than like $5. It was some ridiculous price, and I said, "This is really cool." I eventually had to, clean it a little bit. It was very grimy, and all I did was take a Q-tip, clean out where the signature was, and then eventually I said, "Oh, that says WPA."
He's an art historian. I don't know if it's by trade or by hobby, but he was very into art history. He was very happy that we were doing this type of program.
I've been the one who pretty much oversaw where it was going to go and agreed to give the sculpture on loan to the Kresge Art Museum, in which they have it on display, and for me, that's what I wanted.
When we recover a piece of artwork, we try to work with the possessor to get them involved in the disposition of it as much as possible. It is the public's painting or public's art. It belongs in the public domain. It doesn't belong in a federal warehouse any more than it belongs on a private collector's wall. So we involve them to try to find a suitable location to display it.
When we reclaim these artworks, we're not doing it to just take them and hide them away in storage. Our goal is to put them back out into the public arena so that people have an opportunity to see them.
The fact that you're willing to share the pieces and put them back into public institutions or on public view, I think is an added benefit to your program. For us to get another piece by Leonard Youngworth, who's so well known in our area, was quite a wonderful opportunity.
The GSA also collaborates with the FBI in its New Deal art recovery efforts. The FBI compiles and updates the National Stolen Art File, including a list of lost New Deal art, and it also assists in investigations.
I think we've been reasonably successful for the materials that have been submitted to the National Stolen Art File. We do get hits every year and we do make recoveries, and we are able to reunite lost works of art with their owners on an annual basis. And for that, I'm very pleased and happy with the art file.
The FBI became involved when a previously missing New Deal artwork suddenly reappeared in 2009. The painting, called Simplicity, was painted in 1940 as part of the Federal Art Project by Elger Corter. Elger Corter was born in Virginia in 1916, but his family moved to Chicago when he was a year old. He studied at the Chicago Art Institute and became a member of the Chicago Renaissance of Black Art. He was best known for his studies of African culture, especially the black females of Cuba, Haiti, and other exotic locations.
Corter joined the WPA in 1937. He was just 21 years old, so he was really a kid. It gave him time to work, time to figure out who he was as an artist. I mean, what do I paint? By the mid-1940s, Life magazine called him one of the most important young African-American artists the country had ever seen.
Simplicity was near the top of the FBI's list of missing artworks, and when it turned up at an auction house in Cincinnati, the FBI teamed up with GSA to investigate and recover the painting.
We try to make this as amicable as possible, and we understand it's not a pleasant thing for them to get the letter from us. They were anticipating, whether it's $125 they were anticipating getting, or $30,000-$40,000 they were anticipating getting in a sale of these things. The bottom line is they're not subject to sale, and it's still federal property.
Many of the dealers and certainly the auction houses have alerted the FBI, the General Services Administration, that something has been brought to them for possible auction, and they want to be sure that when they sell something, that the person who buys it has a clear ownership title to it.
The GSA has negotiated a loan of Simplicity to the St. Louis Art Museum. The art recovery project is ongoing and always welcomes assistance. Many artworks are still missing, and recently 2 were reported stolen. It's September 20th, 2008 at Mills Mansion, a historic landmark in Mount Morris, New York. Today is the opening of a new art preview exhibit. On display are 2 New Deal paintings, December in Venice by Charles Polovetsky and April Day No. 1 by Joseph Sabalauskas. The 2 paintings have been on long-term loan since the New Deal to what was once a healthcare facility, but is now the Genesee Valley Council on the Arts. They in turn have loaned them to Mills Mansion. A volunteer tour guide is about to lead a small group up the stairs to give them a tour of the 2nd floor.
Now this is one of them up here that's a scene from Venice.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt your tour here. Could I trouble you for some water? My car overheated and I just need some water for my radiator. I apologize.
Oh, certainly. If you could just wait a moment, and as soon as he gets this water, then I'll take you upstairs and we can see the rest of the collection. Oh, would you sign our guest book, please?
Oh, sure.
Well, here you are. Take what you want.
That's what I need, water. This is really a beautiful place. My mother would really love to see this place.
Well, take her here sometime.
I'll do that. All right. That should do it. All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Take care now.
Okay, now, bye.
Okay.
The tour guide returns to her group and continues the tour. At the end of the day, she activates the alarm and leaves Mills Mansion, locking the door behind her. When she returns to reopen the mansion, she discovers that the 2 New Deal paintings are missing. The Mount Morris police are called in. They find 1 partial palm print believed to have been left by the thief.
And he signed right here. Hesitated a little bit at first, but he signed.
Okay, so this is his signature right here then?
Right, that's his signature.
Well, it could be a fictitious.
They believe that the signed name in the guest book is fictitious.
Takes another tour upstairs.
Following their initial investigation, the Mount Morris police notified GSA. OIG and FBI investigators lend assistance. The two paintings are still missing, and the investigation continues. The New Deal Art Recovery Project is ongoing, and art lovers everywhere are helping out.
We now have people across the country who call us and say, oh, I just saw such and such in a gallery. I think it might belong to you. They send us emails about eBay notices on New Deal artwork.
We're seeing that our leads are increasing geometrically. So I believe that the successes will be much greater in the future. And I believe that many more pieces of artwork will be returned to the public domain as a result.
They're very valuable paintings. They are part of American history. They're really national treasures. And we want to put them up in museums for all Americans to enjoy and appreciate.
They are a historical record of our past, and they were created for the entire population, for the public of the United States of America.
The bottom line is it is federal property, and if we're not going to care for it now, who's going to care for it?
They're such an important part of our heritage, but it's not the political heritage, it's not the economic heritage, it's the social heritage of who Americans are as a people.
And we're hoping that our efforts to recover all of this work, to put it back out into the public display, not only teaches people about their past, but also allows them to see art as something that's part of their world. And so in that way, it's a continuation of the legacy from the 30s.
There are tens of thousands of pieces of New Deal artwork that are listed as missing. These works represent a strong link to the heritage and history of the United States, and the American public deserves to have them available once more for their enjoyment. If you have information about New Deal works of art that have been missing, call the toll-free number at 800-424-5210 and report it to the Office of Inspector General. You may also find additional information about GSA's Fine Arts program at www.gsa.gov/finearts.